has good credit, and they're all cash rich.
I think I read Warren Buffett say something like that. No,
What?
not right.
Who's Warren Buffett?
If you haven't heard of Warren Buffett, you're in for a treat. While he and the company he built his fortune through, Berkshire Hathaway, are icons in the commercial and investing world, there is a lot to Warren Buffett that makes him someone very admirable. Warren is of course a brilliant mind and a capable negotiator.
Can you do any better on salary?
Unfortunately, that range is set at corporate.
What about mileage when I use my car? I mean, gas ain't cheap, you know.
We think that 25 cents a mile is pretty generous.
How about 27? And when I make long-distance calls, will they be monitored or is it on the honor system?
He is certainly someone we can all listen to and learn from, and his annual letters which he pens to the shareholders of Berkshire Hathaway is one of the few regular insights we get. Now of course the letter will be linked below in the description, as well as links to the annual report, which certainly is worth your time to read, and a letter written by Greg Abel, who is effectively the heir apparent of Berkshire Hathaway, who currently heads up the Berkshire Hathaway energy sector and is the vice chairman of the non-insurance operations. So yeah, a bit of reading.
Reading? I didn't know you could read.
I'll be doing a video soon covering his letter as well, as he's equally someone that we can learn a lot from, albeit clearly not the household name of a Warren Buffett.
This is news to me.
To be clear, the letter dated 26 February 2022 is in fact the 2021 letter, something the company is quite clear about on their website. So when you see other YouTubers claiming the 2022 letter is here, it can be a little confusing. And as always, YouTubers ruin everything with plenty of clickbait. Warren Buffett did not say he failed investors, nor did he say that he's refusing to buy stocks. Nor is this the 2022 annual letter. It's a bit much.
That's a little misleading.
These letters are a must-read for any investor, irrespective of whether they hold shares in Berkshire Hathaway. These letters provided an invaluable insight into the thinking of one of the greatest investors over the past 50 years. If for nothing else, you can read these letters for Warren Buffett's witty remarks.
That's pretty good. That's funny.
In each letter, Buffett provides a high-level overview summary of Berkshire's main holdings and provides wonderful insights to how the company is positioning itself for further growth, like describing how Berkshire has increased its percentage holdings in Apple without spending a single dollar in the past year by virtue of Apple's repurchases. Buffett walks through each of the main 4 investments of the company, which he describes as giants or pillars, and explains their role and value as a holding for Berkshire. He takes time to focus on each of these, giving some quality love along the way to Tim Cook, because Apple is of course one of those 4 companies, in addition to BNSF, BHE, and the historic brilliance of Berkshire's insurance arm.
It's worth a lot of money.
Through these 11 pages there are a number of nice summaries and updates, as well as a touching tribute to the late Paul Andrews. So what are the key takeaways?
Why don't you explain this to me like I am an 8-year-old?
One thing that each individual should take away from the letter is Berkshire's focus on being financially impregnable by maintaining large cash or cash equivalents at all times. They commit to a minimum of $30 billion, though its current holdings far exceed this as they're standing at $144 billion, which consists of large holdings in US Treasury bonds, which Buffett states clearly is not some act of patriotism, but simply a consequence of market conditions. The importance of this sentiment for each of us is that it underscores the importance of an emergency fund for each person, irrespective of whether they are investing or merely trying to secure themselves financially.
Oh, this again.
Yes, this again.
You cannot be seriously invested in yourself or your financial well-being without a consistent commitment to maintain a logical amount of cash or cash equivalents to ensure your defensive position in tough times, which most certainly will come again. It's something that you can't understand until you've actually been in the emotional position when you experience it. Trust me when I say that you are not nearly as concerned by the fear-mongering in the news or here on YouTube when people scream about market crashes or similar cataclysmic events when you have the emergency fund in place. You're secure, and it feels like it, which is why this sort of clickbait makes a little sense.
Okay, a simple wrong would have done just fine, but
Relating to this cash stockpile is the second big takeaway. As Warren Buffett has said before, he considers valuations in the market right now to be too high, explaining that part of the reason for such a large cash reserve is a direct consequence of his failure to find entire companies or small portions thereof which meet Berkshire's investing criteria, which is a humble way of saying there are few such opportunities out there. Believe me, if they were there and they were in an ample amount, Warren Buffett would have found them. This is a difficulty that you will have to face whenever you're looking to enter the market. There have been a lot of people claiming that valuations are too high for a long time now, and they're not necessarily wrong. We have been seeing some crazy high price to earning ratios, as well as other indicators that people use to value investments. However, that being said, it wouldn't have been a good idea as of today's date to have been holding off on that investment in Apple or Tesla for the last 5 years because the PE ratios weren't right. You've missed out on some significant wealth creation.
Oh, I like money.
Of course, if you're making periodic investments index funds going forward, potentially high valuations being the subject of market corrections will be a little bit less of a concern to you, and that is fundamentally the strategy that we would say every investor should be considering, at least in part, for their portfolio. So you should be able to sleep a little easier at night. Still, the takeaway remains that Buffett and Charlie Munger, his partner in crime, consider there to be few good opportunities in the market for Berkshire Hathaway, and they're probably right. So keep this in your mind when identifying opportunities with individual companies that you want to pursue. Now remember, while keeping that in mind, when Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger and their team are looking for opportunities for Berkshire, it is a little different than when I look for opportunities as myself, because I'm not looking to deploy significant amounts of capital.
He thinks they got too much money.
If you only have 50 grand to invest, there are a lot of companies available to you. But Warren Buffett doesn't want to hold a little bit of every company. He wants to buy significant holdings, and there's not enough companies available to him for that. That doesn't mean there aren't great opportunities for us.
That's what I've been trying to tell you.
As a closing remark, Buffett did foreshadow the shareholders meeting, which CNBC will be live streaming on 30 April, so put that one in your calendar. As always, the meeting will be held in Of course, if you'd like to have any part of this letter discussed in greater detail, let me know in the comments section. Otherwise, we'd really appreciate your support for this channel with a like and subscribe.
Oh, right. Like that's how Warren Buffett got rich.